Hi everyone, I am back. I'm doing this video on tip etiquette because I've been working in the fast food industry doing food deliveries instead of working as an adjunct at the university due to COVID-19. So there was low enrollment, which took me away from there, and I had to find something else, and that something else was food deliveries. And I've learned so much in the process because I've been working in that industry since July of last year. So, July of 2020, I started working doing food deliveries, and I've noticed something about how people tip. So, one of the things that people need to realize when they tip people is that you should tip based off of how much you've spent plus how many items that you have. So, for example, if you only spent $20 and you have like maybe two items, you should tip between $2 and $5 to your delivery driver. For larger items like say 4 or 5 items at a time, you have like not only food items but drink items as well. All of that gets really heavy to carry to the door and whatnot. So you should go above $5 if you have like 5 items or more. Um, or you spent, let's say, around $50 or more on the food, you should tip between $5 and $10. Let me tell you something else that I've noticed about people when I go to different homes. So I go to a variety of neighborhoods, from people who are affluent and have really large houses. They have expensive cars parked in their driveway. They live in a gated community. And some people, even though they live in these big houses with these expensive cars and whatnot, they will not tip you anything. And it's like, even if you purchase only one item or you purchased a lot of items, they will not necessarily tip. And I was like, why aren't you tipping considering you live in a mansion in a gated community? So I'm just like, are you afraid if you tip me $2 to $5 for this delivery that you're suddenly going to slip into poverty and not no longer live in your mansion with the expensive cars and gated community? I didn't know it was that serious, but I just expected these people would tip all the time. And the reason why I say that is because I've noticed that there'll be other areas that I go into where people are definitely poor. They're living in an apartment or they're living in a house in a like really rundown area, and you can tell that they can't afford a lot. And they will still manage to tip you somehow, even if it's only $1. I'm humble, I'll accept it. $1 is fine for me. I've had as low as like 50-cent tips on the credit card. And I'm humble because everybody cannot afford it. But when I go into that gated community, I know you can. But I don't expect a lot from the people who live in rundown homes or like who live in apartments to tip. It's not expected always because everybody should be able to treat themselves sometimes, and maybe they can't afford the extra tip on top of that little treat that they give themselves. So that's understandable. But anytime you have a lot of items, you should try to tip your driver. You should also try to tip at least between $5 and $10. Now, I've had really wonderful tippers, like both poor and wealthy and everything in between. Like they'll tip you $5, they'll tip you $10. I've even been tipped $20. And I'm like, wow, thank you, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Oh, it's going dark. I don't know why. I am so sorry, guys. I don't know what happened to the brightness there. All right, there it goes. But thank you to all those people who do tip $10, $20. We totally appreciate it. And we even appreciate those who can't really afford it and still make the effort with like 50 cents or a dollar. Hey, we understand, but it's just important to understand that the larger or the greater number of items or the amount of money that you're spending is, going to correspond with your tip. So the lower the amount, the smaller number of items, yeah, you don't have to tip that much. Um, and I even understand if it's like one item and you're just like, you know what, I don't need to tip for this. It's understandable. But when you have me bringing like 10, 15 items, drinks, and all kinds of other things, like you should automatically tip that person something between $5 and $10. And I understand it's like, well, I've already spent a lot of money buying all these items, but that's something to think about when you buy a lot of items. Maybe you want to divide that among you and whoever else you're buying food with or buying food for. So like you cover the expense of the food and then they cover the expense of the tip. So that way it's not too much on you. But it's really important to tip something, especially if you've bought a lot of items and you live in a really nice neighborhood. Like we see that you have a beautiful car and a beautiful home and a gated community. So please, please tip something when you live like that because we know you got it. We understand about people who are in poor areas who may not be able to afford it, but why are you, sir or ma'am, not tipping and you live in a gated community? Okay? I'm gonna need you to do better. All right, y'all. Have a wonderful, blessed day.